I died choking on my own blood, the taste of arsenic sharp and metallic on my tongue, while my husband, Mark, held my hand and whispered how sorry he was. But it wasn't sorrow in his eyes. It was relief, cold and calculating, like he'd just closed a bad investment. 30 seconds later, as the paramedics called my time of death, I gasped back to life, not in some sterile hospital bed, but in the same godforsaken kitchen where it all went down, 2 years earlier, the morning after our 5th anniversary party. My heart slammed against my ribs like a caged animal, and I gripped the edge of the granite counter, staring at my reflection in the toaster. 28, flawless skin, no crow's feet from the stress of raising twins that never came. I'd been poisoned once before, but this time, I was the goddamn poison. The first thing I did was hurl the mug of coffee I'd been about to sip across the room. It shattered against the stainless steel fridge, dark liquid splattering like abstract art from hell. Evelyn, my mother-in-law, the ice queen in Lululemon who'd always looked at me like I was a knockoff purse, jumped, her perfectly manicured nails digging into her own mug. "Leah? What in God's name?" she started, but I cut her off with a laugh that sounded unhinged even to me. "Nothing, Evelyn. Just spilled milk. Or coffee. Whatever." My voice was mine, but stronger, laced with the venom I'd swallowed in that other life. Mark wasn't there yet. He was upstairs, probably scrolling through texts from his mistress, my own sister, Tara. Yeah, that twist still burned hotter than the ricin they'd used on me last time. I remembered every detail of my death like it was etched in acid. The family brunch, the accidental overdose of my migraine meds mixed into my mimosa by Tara, who sobbed theatrically at my funeral. Mark's promotion at the hedge fund, greased by Evelyn's old money connections, came a week later. And the kicker? The life insurance payout, $5 million, that vanished into trust funds for ghosts. I'd been the outsider, the girl from a trailer park in Ohio who'd clawed her way into Yale on scholarships and grit, marrying into the Hargrove dynasty. They called it an accident, a tragic mix-up. But I knew Evelyn hated me because I'd uncovered her dirty secret 20 years back when I was interning at her charity foundation. She'd been skimming donations to fund her coke habit, and I'd buried the files to protect Mark. Loyalty, they called it. Stupidity, I realized too late. Now, here I was, reset to that crisp October morning in our McMansion outside Greenwich, Connecticut. The leaves outside were turning fire red, mocking the inferno building in my chest. I had 2 years to unravel their web, expose the rot, and make them pay, not with bullets or bombs, but with the American way. Lawsuits, scandals, and shattered reputations that'd leave them begging for the poorhouse. But revenge? It's a bitch that bites back. And my first move? Switch the cups. Let Evelyn taste the bitter truth she'd been brewing for me. I steadied my breathing, forcing a smile as wide as the Hudson. "Sorry about that, Evelyn. Clumsy me. Here, take mine, it's fresh." I slid the floral mug her way, the one she'd poisoned in my memory. Her eyes narrowed, that hawkish gaze missing nothing, but she took it anyway, sipping with the poise of a woman who'd lunch with senators. "Thank you, dear. You're always so thoughtful." The sarcasm dripped like syrup on pancakes. I watched the clock tick, 10 minutes, 20, 30, as she chatted about the upcoming gala, her cheeks flushing pinker than usual. At minute 32, she coughed, a wet, ragged sound, clutching her throat. "What? What is this?" she gasped, eyes bulging like a fish on the dock. Mark burst in then, Ty half nodded, smelling of his Axe body spray and lies. "Mom?" "Leah, what's wrong?" I played the concerned daughter-in-law to perfection, dialing 911 while murmuring. She just started choking. On coffee, of all things. The ambulance wailed up the drive like Judgment Day, and as they loaded Evelyn onto the stretcher, her glare locked on mine. Accusation, fury, fear. Good. Let it fester. The ER docs pumped her stomach, found traces of what they'd later call accidental contamination from the cleaner under the sink. Bullshit. It was the same arsenic she'd slipped me before. She survived, Barely, with a raspy voice that'd haunt boardrooms for months. But the seed was planted. Doubt. Whispers. The first crack in the Hargrove facade. That night, as Mark paced the living room, phone glued to his ear, I rifled through his desk drawer. Old habits from my forensic accounting days at Deloitte die hard. There it was, a burner phone, text to Tara that made my stomach twist. Miss you already. Ease on board. Elle's out of the picture soon. Dated 3 days ago. My sister, the golden child who'd always envied my life, bedding my husband in our guest room while I slaved over mergers. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was biblical. But I didn't scream. I photographed everything, uploaded to a cloud drive only I could access, passcode with the date of my death, October 15th, 2027. The next week was a blur of feigned normalcy. Evelyn recovered in her penthouse overlooking Central Park, barking orders via FaceTime about that clumsy bitch trying to kill her. Mark played the bridge, shuttling between us, his guilt manifesting in over-the-top gestures, flowers that wilted faster than his excuses, dinners at Le Bernardin where he'd toast to our future. I nodded, smiled, plotted. My first real strike came at the firm's holiday party, a glittering affair at the Yale Club where hedge fund bros slapped backs and wives compared Botox. I cornered Mark's boss, Victor Lang, over scotch, knew his type from audits, the kind who leaked like sieves after 2 fingers. Victor, off the record. I purred, leaning in so my breath ghosted his ear. Mark's been distracted. You hear about the SEC whispers? Offshore accounts, Hargrove Family Trust. His eyes widened, hook, line, sinker. I dropped just enough from Evelyn's old files, the ones I'd digitized before my accident. By morning, the rumor mill churned. Internal audit, questions about Mark's latest deal. He came home white as a ghost, slamming doors. Who the hell talked? Leah, you didn't. I gasped, all wide-eyed innocence. Me? Baby, I'd never. But inside, I savored it, the first bead of sweat on his brow. Tara slithered back into town for Christmas, all blonde highlights and yoga pants, playing the concerned sibling. We hugged at the airport, her perfume, Chanel No. 5, the one I'd gifted her, cloying as sin. Sis heard about Mom. You okay? Her eyes flicked to Mark, a secret smile. That night, over eggnog by the fire, I dropped the bomb casual as confetti. Tara, remember that trip to the Hamptons last summer? Mark mentioned you two had. Fun. The room froze. Evelyn, still hoarse, choked on her sip. Mark's face drained of color. Tara laughed it off, inside joke. But the damage was done. Cracks spiderwebbed, sidelong glances, forced cheer. As winter thawed into a brutal spring, I dug deeper. Hired a PI off Craigslist, ex-cop named Rico, who didn't ask questions for cash. He tailed Tara to a seedy motel in Bridgeport, caught her with not just Mark, but Victor too. Threesome pics that'd make TMZ blush. Meanwhile, Evelyn's foundation faced IRS scrutiny, my anonymous tip, laced with those buried files. She called me, voice like gravel. You little tramp. This is you, isn't it? I cooed sympathy. Evelyn, honey, karma's a circle. Remember that intern who quit in tears? The one who found your donations in the Caymans. Silence, then a click. She knew. The decisions got uglier from there. I could have walked, divorce papers drawn, alimony that'd cripple them.
But no. Revenge demandait spectacle.
I leaked the affair to Page 6, anonymous source. Hedge fund heirs double dip. Wife cis and boss in bed. The headlines exploded. Hargrove scandal rocks Wall Street. Mark's clients bailed. Stock plummeted. Tara fled to LA, blackballed from her influencer gigs. Evelyn lawyered up, countersuing the paper, but her coke rap sheet surfaced, courtesy of Rico's deep dive into her Hamptons trash pulls. Mark confronted me in our bedroom, rain lashing the windows like accusations. Leah, please. It's not what you think. He dropped to his knees, tears streaming, crocodile. Everyone. Evelyn made me. The money, the pressure.
Tara was
A mistake. I towered over him, heart a war drum. Mistake? You watched me die, Mark. held my hand while the light faded. His eyes bugged, confusion, then horror.
What? You.
You were sick, the meds. I laughed, low and lethal. Arsenic, asshole. In my coffee. Ring any bells? He lunged, hands around my throat, but I twisted free. Self-defense classes paid off. I kneed him square. Watched him crumple. Get out, I whispered. Before I make it worse. But worse was coming. The twist hit like a freight train. Rico called at dawn, voice shaky. Leah, your old files? That intern who quit? It was your mom. She didn't bury him, you did, but she was the one skimming. And Mark. He knew from day one. Proposed to you to shut you up. My world tilted. I'd protected them all. Silenced my own blood for love. Mom, dead 5 years from cancer. But now? Suspicions of assisted suicide. Evelyn's doing to tie loose ends. Summer scorched the earth, and so did I. The gala, Evelyn's crown jewel, loomed. I crashed it in a red gown that screamed blood, cornering her on the balcony, overlooking the Hudson. You killed her, didn't you? My mother. Her laugh was a wheeze. She was weak, Leah. Like you.
But you.
You're a fighter. She pulled a vial from her clutch, same bitter scent. One drop and it's over. I snatched it, smashed it on the stone.
No.
We're doing this my way. The high point. I went public. Press conference, flanked by lawyers, spilling every sin, affair docs, financial fraud. Even Mom's autopsy I'd exhumed. Cameras flashed like gunfire. Mark arrested for embezzlement, Tara for perjury in the cover-up. Evelyn, facing manslaughter charges, her empire dust. As sirens wailed, I walked free, the crowd parting like the Red Sea. But happy endings? They're for fairy tales. In the quiet of my new apartment, tiny mine, I poured coffee, black and bitter. No poison this time. Just me, reborn, wondering if the monster I'd become was any better than them. The phone buzzed. Rico, with a lead on a new life, far from Connecticut ghosts. I smiled. Round 2? Maybe. But for now, I sipped slow, tasting victory, and the ash of what was lost. The fallout from the gala lingered like smog over the city, choking everyone but me. Mark's bail hearing was a circus. Paparazzi swarming the courthouse steps, shouting questions I could have answered with a smirk. Mrs. Hargrove, did you know about the affair? Leah, revenge or justice? I slipped past in sunglasses and a trench, but inside, the beast-eyed unleashed purred. Justice?
Please.
This was vengeance, pure and pixelated, trending on Twitter with Hargrove Hell. Evelyn's foundation dissolved overnight, donors fleeing like rats from a blaze.
Tara?
Radio silence, last seen posting weepy stories from a Malibu hideout, begging for forgiveness no one owed. I relocated to a loft in Brooklyn, exposed brick, skyline views that screamed fresh start, funded by the settlement I'd clawed from Mark's assets. 50% of the marital estate, plus punitive damages for emotional distress. My lawyer, a shark named Carla from Brooklyn Law, grinned as we signed. You played them like a Stradivarius, Leah. What's next? I shrugged, unpacking boxes of books I'd salvaged. Forensic accounting for dummies now felt prophetic. Therapy? A cat? Who knows?
Lies.
Next was tying the noose tighter. Rico became my shadow, the grizzled uncle I never had. Over greasy diner eggs in Red Hook, he slid a dossier across the Formica. Evelyn's not done. She's lawyering up with the best. Old firm ties to the DA. And Mark? Singing like a canary in lockup, trying to flip on her for a deal. Photos spilled out. Evelyn meeting a fixer in a dim void, whispers of witness tampering. My pulse quickened, not fear, but thrill. The game's afoot, as Sherlock would have said, but this was no Baker Street. It was the belly of the beast, Wall Street wolves circling. Decisions gnawed at me, the controversial kind that keep you up at 3 a.m., staring at water stains like Rorschach tests. Do I testify against Evelyn? Drag Mom's grave into the spotlight? The autopsy I'd pushed for revealed traces of the same toxin, Arsenic, chronic exposure masked as chemo side effects. Evelyn had played nurse, helping during Mom's final months. Proof? Slim, but enough to haunt. Or do I let it lie, preserve the illusion of a mother's quiet passing? Hell no. I faxed the report to the prosecutor myself, anonymous, then watched the news cycle erupt. Hargrove matriarch linked to suspicious death. Evelyn's mugshot, defiant, Pearl's askew, became meme fodder. Spring bloomed into a humid hell, and with it, Tara's Hail Mary. She showed up at my door unannounced, rain-soaked and mascara-streaked, looking like a drowned prom queen. Leah, please. Let me explain. I blocked the threshold, arms crossed. Explain what? How you fucked my husband while I miscarried our babies. Her flinch was genuine good. The twins, lost at 20 weeks, blamed on stress. Now I wondered, stress or sabotage? She'd been the one pushing those relaxing teas, herbal blends from her wellness line. We ended up at a dive bar in Williamsburg, neon buzzing like bad karma. Over cheap Merlot, she spilled. Evelyn's puppet master act, grooming Mark from boyhood, using Tara as leverage after catching her shoplifting as a teen. She said it'd ruin us all if I didn't play along. Mark was weak, sis. You deserved better. Tears, snot, the works. Part of me softened. The sister bond, frayed but not severed. Controversial choice number 2. I slipped her a burner phone, Rico's contact. Help me bury her, Tara. Or join her. She nodded, fierce. Blood's thicker, but betrayal? That's the real link. Mark's trial kicked off in June, federal courthouse's zoo of suits and sobs. I took the stand in a navy sheath, hair in a chignon that said professional widow. The prosecutor, a bulldog named Reyes, walked me through it. The affair, the fraud, my tragic illness. I locked eyes with Mark across the room, haggard, orange jumpsuit clashing with his waspy pallor. Did your husband ever discuss harming you? Reyes asked. I paused, theatrical. Not in words, but actions? He let me die. Twice. Gasps rippled. The judge banged. Objection overruled. Mark's lawyer scrambled, painting me as vengeful harpy. But the jury? They ate it up, Midwestern transplants nodding like I'd channeled their own family feuds. Twist 2 slithered in during recess, a note from Mark, smuggled via guard. Leah, it was her. The poison, the pressure. I loved you, still do. End this. Love. From the man who'd toasted my eulogy with Dom? I crumpled it, but doubt crept like ivy. Rico confirmed. Wiretaps had Mark pleading with Evelyn pre-death. Mom, we can't. She's pregnant. Her reply. Accidents happen. Fix it. So he had fought feebly. Did that absolve? Hell no. But it humanized the monster, made my rage a mirror. Evelyn's hearing followed, a sideshow in state court. She pled not guilty, all ice and denial, but Tara flipped, testified to the skimming, the threats, even the motel payoffs. She said Leah was a gold digger who'd drag us down. Poison was mercy. The courtroom hushed. Evelyn lunged, hissing, traitorous whore. Bailiffs wrestled her down. I watched from the back, anonymous in a hoodie, heart pounding not with triumph, but a hollow ache. This woman had molded my hell, but seeing her break, it echoed my own fractures. Summer's end brought the plea deals. Mark copped to fraud, 5 years federal, no poison charge. Reyes cut him slack for ratting. Tara got probation, community service at a shelter, ironic considering. Evelyn? Manslaughter, 20 to life, her empire auctioned off to pay victims. The night the verdict dropped, I drove to the Connecticut shore, waves crashing like applause. Stood on the pier where Mark proposed, diamond ring glinting under stars. I hurled it into the black water, a sacrifice to the sea. Freedom tasted salty, but incomplete. Fall leaves turned again, mirroring my reset. I started a blog, Arsenic and Old Money, anonymized, spilling tea on elite corruption. It blew up, podcast invites, book deals whispered. Rico and I, partners now, his PI firm my silent backer. Tara texted sporadically. Sorry doesn't cut it, but I'm trying. Forgiveness? Maybe someday. But trust? Buried with the old Leah. Yet, in quiet moments, ghosts whispered. What if I'd let it go? Played the victim, collected the check, vanished to Bali? No. The controversial core of me craved the fight, the controversy that painted me villain or vigilante. America loves its anti-heroes, after all. As snow dusted the city, I poured coffee, black, steaming. No switches needed. This time, the bitter was all mine, and it fueled the fire for whatever came next. Winter wrapped Brooklyn in a gritty embrace, holidays mocking me with twinkling lights and forced cheer. I dodged family, what was left of it, like the plague, holing up with takeout foe and true crime docs. The blog hit 6 figures in merch sales, mugs emblazoned with bitter brews only, and agents circled like vultures. Leah, your story's gold. Rebirth, betrayal, badassery. Rebirth. If only they knew how literal. Nights I'd jolt awake, tasting blood, Evelyn's laugh echoing. Trung Sin wasn't a gift. It was a curse looped on repeat, demanding I outrun my own shadow. Rico pulled me into a new case, pro bono for a waitress poisoned by her in-laws. Echoes of my hell. Pay it forward, kid. We met her in a Queen's coffee shop, eyes haunted, hands trembling over lattes. They said it was flu meds, but I smelled it, almonds bitter. My skin crawled, arsenic's signature. As I coached her on filings, evidence chains, a mirror cracked. Was I saving her or exorcising me? Controversial pivot. I leaked her story to my blog, anonymized, sparking a poison by family thread. Donations poured in, lawyers volunteered. Her case went viral, DA's office scrambling. Power, intoxicating as the first hit of justice. Mark wrote from prison, letters smudged with desperation. I dream of you, Leah. The good times, Yale Quad, that road trip to Asheville. Good times? Erased by the bad, but nostalgia tugged, a traitor in my veins. I visited once, sterile room at Danbury Fed, plexiglass between us. He looked smaller, eyes pleading. End the appeals, Leah. Let me rot knowing you won. I pressed the receiver close. Winning? You think this is win? I buried our babies because of you. His sob cracked. Evelyn. She dosed the prenatals. I found out too late. Too late. Always too late. I hung up, but the seeds sprouted doubt. Accomplice or puppet? The line blurred, forcing a gut-wrenching call. Do I sabotage his parole push, or let karma's will turn slow? Tara resurfaced for New Year's, clean-shaven head under a beanie, sober 6 months. Rehab was hell, sis. But I'm here. We walked the High Line, snow crunching, city lights blurring tears. She confessed more. Evelyn's grooming, a cult of control starting with Grandpa Hargrove's will, faked codicil that cut out undesirables like me. She saw you as the threat, Leah. Smart, poor, unbreakable. Unbreakable?
Ide shatarat plani.
Over hot cider at Chelsea Market, I handed her a key to my loft spare room. Earn it. Risky? Hell yes. Sisters don't poison. They rebuild, or so I hoped. Spring thawed secrets like permafrost. Rico uncovered Evelyn's final play. A hidden Cayman account, 2 mil skimmed post-arrest, funneled to a charity that was really her escape fund. She's got a guy on the inside. Guard, maybe lawyer. We tailed the lawyer to a strip mall in Jersey, bugged his Escalade. Tape's gold. Evelyn says pay the hit on the sister. Clean.
Me?
Or Tara. Adrenaline surged. I armed up. Pepper spray. Whistle. The works. Controversial escalation. I didn't call cops. Instead, I staged a meet, anonymous tip to the lawyer. Hargrove drop, midnight, Gowanus. The canals stank of oil and regret, fog rolling off water like smoke. I waited in shadows, heart hammering. Rico across the street in his unmarked. Headlights pierced. Lawyer, alone, briefcase in hand. Show yourself, he barked. I stepped out, voice modulator app on my phone. The money now. Or your tapes hit the feds. He paled, fumbling keys. That's when they came. 2 goons, Evelyn's muscle from the gala days. Fists flew. I dodged, sprayed, screamed. Rico barreled in, tire iron swinging, crack, thud, sirens. We melted into night, briefcase clutched like Excalibur. Back home, Tara cracked it, ducks proving Evelyn's hit on Mom, falsified medicals, even a diary entry. The Ohio trash had to go. For the family. Rage boiled over. I burned it, ashes in the sink. But the win? Wired the funds to the waitress's legal defense, anonymous. Karma's boomerang. Summer sizzled with trial's echoes. Mark's appeal tanked, my testimony sealed it. He knew your honor. And did nothing. Gavel fell, 20 years. Tara thrived, bartending at a Williamsburg speakeasy, dating a barista with tattoos. Normal's underrated, she quipped.
Me?
The blog evolved, podcast now, bitter awakening, guests spilling elite sins. Controversy peaked when I outed a senator's wife for similar fraud. Death threats rolled in, but so did fans, armor and emails. Twist 3. A letter from Evelyn, prison stationery. You think you've won, Leah? I made you. That rebirth, the pills I slipped you at Yale. Experimental. Woke something, didn't it? Experimental? My reset psychedelics?
Poison?
Or her delusion? I confronted the warden. Pulled strings via Carla. Truth. Evelyn funded black market trials, enhancing heirs. Mark had dosed unknowingly. I targeted to break me. The horror. My strength, born of their cruelty. Fall harvest brought harvest of souls. I testified at Evelyn's resentencing, voice steady. She didn't just kill, she corrupted. Judge added 10 years. As cuffs clicked her whisper. You'll always be the outsider. Maybe. But outsiders topple thrones. Winter circled back, softer. Tara and I hosted Friendsgiving, Rico carving turkey. Waitress as guest.
Le terre est chaude, tentative. Coffee poured, no squeechies.
Bitter? Sure. But shared, it warmed. The new year dawned crisp, Brooklyn's brownstones dusted in possibility. My podcast hit the big leagues, Spotify deal, tour dates from Seattle to Miami. Bitter Awakening wasn't just stories, it was movement, survivors banding against the invisible poisons of power. Tara co-hosted now, her wit-sharpening episodes like a blade. From betrayal to badass, she'd sign off. Rico grumbled about fame's folly, but tagged along, bodyguard in flannel. Life post-Hargrove? A patchwork quilt, seems visible, but holding. Yet, ghosts don't fade, they evolve. Mark's appeals exhausted, he wrote one last time. Parole in 10.
Can we talk?
Talk. About the what-ifs, the unborn kids we'd named in whispers? Controversial crossroads. I greenlit the visit, neutral ground. A park in Westchester. Autumn leaves carpeting paths. He emerged changed, gray at temples. Eyes haunted.
Leah.
God, you look alive. We walked, silence heavy. I was her son first, he admitted. But you were my chance at more. Lies or truth. His hand brushed mine, electric, familiar. I pulled away. Too late for chances, Mark. But as I drove back, tears blurred taillights. Love's residue, stubborn as rust. Evelyn's appeals? A farce. Her experimental claim unraveled, FDA probe, her trials exposed as eugenics light for the elite. She rotted in Bedford Hills, corresponding with no one but her demons. Tara visited once, came back ashen.
She cursed you, sis.
Said you'd die alone, poisoned by your own ambition. I laughed it off, but sleep evaded, dreams of mugs switching in endless loops. Spring bloomed scandals anew. A listener tipped, similar case in Silicon Valley, tech bro's wife, accidentally OD'd. Rico and I flew out, first class on my dime, met her twin sister, spitting image of me prairie set.
He smelled wrong, she said.
We built the case. Forensics, alibis shredded. I coached from the shadows, blog fueling outrage. When the arrest hit, live on CNN, I toasted with Tara. To the poisoners, poisoned by truth. Controversial? Absolutely. Vigilante justice skirted laws, but in America's meritocracy of mess, who cared? Summer road trip. Tara, Rico, me in a rented Mustang, Route 66 Redux. Stops at diners, motels with neon signs, spilling life stories under stars. Tara confessed Yale regrets. I envied your fire, stole it instead. Rico shared his beat cop scars, lost partner to corruption.
Me?
The death, the rebirth, the rage that rebuilt. Trung Sin, I murmured one night in a Tulsa motel.
What? Tara asked.
Nothing.
Seconde chance.
We laughed, bonded in breakage. Twist finale crash Labor Day, anonymous package at the loft, vile note. Finish what I started. Empty, thank God, but traced to a guard she'd bribed. Feds swarmed, her last lifeline cut. In interrogation footage, leaked, Natch, Evelyn cracked. Leah was the flaw. Fixed her, but she fixed back. Fixed? Like a stray cat? The revelation, my rebirth, was her cocktail of hallucinogens and nootropics, slipped during a wellness retreat she'd forced pre-wedding. Not magic, science, dark, twisted. It explained the clarity, the unyielding drive.
Borrowed time, weaponized.
Fall's chill brought closure. Mark's parole hearing, I testified neutral. Let him reflect. Granted with strings. He called once. Thank you. Silence after. Tara's book deal mirrored mine. Sister Sins, Raw Redemption. Rico proposed partnership, official, rings optional. I demurred. Friends first. Winter solstice. I stood on that Greenwich pier, waves whispering absolution. No ring to hurl, just me whole. Coffee thermos warm in hands, black, bitter, mine. The controversial heart of it? I'd bent rules, blurred lines, maybe broken a few souls. But in America's grand, gritty drama, betrayals scripted like soaps, revenges trending viral, I'd scripted my own. Not victim, not villain. Survivor. Schemer. The woman who switched cups and changed everything. As snow fell soft, I raised the thermos to ghosts. Mom. Twins, the old Leah. To new beginnings. And walked into the night, unbroken.